You're gonna make me start early. Steve. Hey everybody, welcome. I was not even in the chair. But hey, greetings everybody. Steve be all sneaky like, hey, I'm just raid chain when he's not even ready to start the stream yet. Oh, I see you. I was here. I was just fiddling around with this Gundam model. Yeah. Hello everybody. Early start, early start. It's an early start. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Shane. I am a college history guy and sociology teacher and occasional traveler, complainer, video game player, guy who has lots of opinions. And yeah, we're here to talk history. So if you've never been to the channel before, welcome. Thanks, Steve, for that Giganto raid. It is much appreciated. And what we do here on my stream is talk history, but it's not like history like you've maybe ever had it before. It's not boring, or at least I don't think it's boring. We try to talk about stuff that's not really covered in the good old-fashioned Western Civ class that most people end up taking. We've got sort of an interesting way of approaching stuff, especially here on Thursday nights. We've basically been doing history in chronological order. And you all have come in on a night where we're actually starting a new century. So we have started the 6th century, which is the year 500 to the year 600. And tonight specifically, we're going to be talking about Korea, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Japan. You all caught me before I had even updated the information for the night. But that's okay. That's all right. Welcome in. Hope everybody's having a good one. So for those of you that have first time come in, I almost always label the stream some sort of pun. That's either a movie quote or a lyric or a song title. Turn to the century stream. Yeah, we just wrapped up the 5th century. Just as long as we caught you after you put your pants on. You don't know what I'm wearing below the table. So, you don't know, Steve. You really don't know. I might be poo-bearing it right now, and you would never know. You would never know. But given my luck, if I were doing that, I would fall over backwards in the chair, and I would basically like flip everything up. So that was a weird sentence to join the stream on. Oh, bother. So for my people, if you are in the room and you are not already following Steve's sketches, please do go give Steve a follow. The guy is great. He's a really good artist, and he has a lot of time where he gives of his own talent and helps people. He is a teacher of the artistic skill, and he's also got a lot of opinions that I share, and that of course makes it easier for me to go in there and kind of co-grouse at things. We've got some other streamers in the chat. May as well go ahead and give them some shout outs as well. We've got Cave Geek, who doesn't like it when I shout him out in other channels, and I've been told that the only place that I can shout him out is in my channel. He's that humble of a dude. He's also a good dude, and he's a good friend, and you should go follow his channel and watch all the art that he does, because he's a cool guy. We've also got Neo Realms in the house. I need to catch up with Neo Realms. I actually haven't been able to stop by last few times actually. So Neo Realms is a fellow art teacher. Well, he's not. Well, he's a fellow teacher, and he teaches art. So he's actually an art teacher IRL, and does a lot of stuff on stream. Sometimes he is doing art. Sometimes he is designing minis in 3D space. Sometimes he is working on a computer game that he and his buddies are working on. And there's a lot of stuff going on in Neo Realms channel, and you'll enjoy your time there, hanging out, listening to good music, and getting some good chat. It's a good time. That's not true. You just want you to say hi first. Hiya, Cave Geek. How's it going, man? Hope you had a good time at GaryCon. Tonight you're going to party like it's $5.99. Did I say hello to everybody? So Steve, Nix. Oh, we've got Nix in the house. Nix Lottle. Where's the buttons? There we go. Nix Lottle is an artist here on Twitch as well. Usually does kind of fantasy stuff, but has recently been getting into doing like talking animation stuff. Doing voiceover work with some 3D animation stuff, and it's pretty cool. You should go give Nix a follow. It's a good time. Hoot Tarniel, good to see you. Who did I not say hello to? Metrand, how's it going? Hope you're having a good one. Yeah, I think that's everybody. Yeah, so we're going to talk Korea tonight, and we're going to talk Korea for most of the stream. Bum ba dum. Aurora, thank you so much for that follow, and welcome to the adventure. I'm sorry that I ruined that with sounds. That was not part of the welcome. But thanks for that follow. Hope you're having a good one. Welcome to the adventure. Feel free to communicate and participate at whatever level you find interesting here. We really do just kind of sit around and goof off. I do talk history, but we also end up... We'll talk about 19 different things tonight, and I'll have opinions on all of them, and I'll get heated or something. Man, you need to do GaryCon. You love Gen Con. I've never been to either. I know that a lot of people have gone to both of those that I know and have had a good time. I've never been to either. Gen Con being in Indiana is an interesting opportunity for me. There's some neat Native American stuff that's not too terribly far from there, and were I to go to Gen Con, I could arrange the destination in such a way to go see some really cool Native American mounds. And I'd like to do that eventually. Going to conventions the last couple of years has kind of been like, but I do plan on making it to Heroes Con this year. Heroes Con is my favorite convention. And if you've never been, I would encourage you all to give it a shot if you can make it. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is amazing. It is one of my look forward to experiences of the year. And I'm looking forward to trying to get there this year. It's their 40th anniversary, so that will be really cool to go take part in that. But Heroes Con, it's a good time. All right, so yeah, what's up with this Korea thing? Well, here's the deal. It's been a while since we've talked about Korea, so for those of you that might be on the first time here, we cover history, like I said, chronologically, but we do it in chunks because it's really, really hard to try to do like a year and cover everything that's happening in a year and really get any sense of narrative. So we usually do it in chunks that are about 100 years long, and we'll break it up by region. So tonight we're going to basically do this stuff. So this is Korea and Japan, and then next week we will almost certainly talk about China, and then the next week we might do some stuff down here in Southeast Asia or Central Asia, and then India, and then Persia, and then Rome, and then all of these barbarian kingdoms, and we'll scoot over here and we might talk about some people in a few streams later on down the road that are doing stuff over here in North America or South America or Central America. So we do world history here, and the world history is not just history of Europe, which is unfortunately what a lot of people get when they take world history in school. So yeah, we haven't talked about Korea and Japan since we started the last phase, and that has been months ago. So a quick recap of what's going on in Korea. We are in what is referred to as the Three Kingdoms period. And our three kingdoms are as follows. We have the dominant power at the time. When they take world history in finger quote school, yeah, I feel you. So three kingdoms at the time. The big one that is dominating the show that was really, really powerful last semester or last class was Goguryeo, this big guy right here. Now the other two kingdoms are Pekja and Shilla. Now you go, well, what about this? Not Goguryeo. It is roughly Grogu green, but it is not Goguryeo. Oh, now I'm trying to actually see Grogu. Like, could this be one pointy ear and this be another pointy ear? And like, this is his little chin, and like this little thing hanging out of it here is like the leg of a frog. So like, here's his head, and it's kind of like twisted sideways, right? And he's trying to eat the rest of the peninsula. I can see it. If you look at it the right way, you can see it. Yeah. Goguryeo. No, it's pronounced Goguryeo. They were the big country, and there's Pekja and Shilla. Those are the other two countries. And you're like, well, what is this thing? So Gaia is not an individual kingdom. It's called a confederacy. So this is the Gaia Confederacy. And basically what it was is a whole bunch of city-states that sort of operated together when they needed to, but also had a lot of independent action. And especially here, there were a lot of big port cities that did some trade stuff. But Gaia Confederacy is not a unified kingdom, whereas Shilla and Pekja and Goguryeo are. Now, Goguryeo was in great shape. Last century, which would have been the 5th century, they had two of their greatest rulers ever. They had Gwanggaeto, who was referred to as Gwanggaeto the Great, and then they had his son, a guy named Jiangsu, who ruled for a really, really long time. And man, Goguryeo was like, they were hitting on all cylinders. They were a player, not just a player in Korea, but they were a regional player. In great shape, looking fine, rocking that dad bod. I mean, they were pretty svelte. They had it streamlined. They had it down. They were rocking that kick your butt with our giant army bod. So, I mean, what's up, JMR? How's it going, man? We've got JMR in the room. JMR Killer is a friend of the channel, hangs out a lot doing stuff that I quite like, playing video games and building Gundam models. So go give JMR a follow at the Gaming Fort and hang out on Saturday morning like you're a kid again in your pajamas, eating cereal and collecting, you know, whatever it is. Right now in the morning on Saturday, JMR's playing Breath of the Wild, so maybe it's Korok seeds. Who knows, right? JMR, I am exhausted, both mentally and physically. I am putting on a decent enough show, but I am worn out. I had a really, really long day at work today, where I basically had no breathing space. The only time that I had really to do anything was I forced myself to turn my computer off for 20 minutes while I ate my sandwich. And that was about it. It was a long day at work today. And then when I got home, I decided that I needed to do something active. So we went to take the dog for a walk, and we walked about a few laps on the walking track nearby our house. And then we usually let the dog sort of go adventure around for a little while on a sniffing adventure, And while the dog and Brittany went to do that, I decided I was going to walk some hills. And so on the backside of the walking track, there's a really, really steep hill that's probably about 2.5, 3 stories tall. So this is like 20 or 30 feet. And that's like metric something. Let's see, what's 6 is roughly 2, so 5. It's like 20 meters tall or so. It's a pretty big hill, and it's very, very steep. So I went up and down that about 12 times, and like a lot of those sort of at speed, and now I'm physically exhausted too. It's okay. No. I mean, I did it to myself. It was just something that had to happen. But I'm pretty tired, and I was hanging out in Steve's channel earlier and falling asleep in Steve's channel because I was just sitting on the couch like zoning out and bleh. I hope I will sleep well tonight. I hope so. But we'll see. All right, so Goguryeo is at the apex of their power. They had the largest amount of territory that the kingdom of Goguryeo had ever held. They had brought Pekcha and Shilla basically under domination. Those other two countries were not really able to do anything without Goguryeo saying okay. And for a brief period of time, the kingdom of Goguryeo had even managed to shake off the influence of China. So China is sort of the dominant power in this particular time period, and China controlled all of this land right here. And China had fallen apart a little bit and was kind of clunky. And so for a little period of time, Goguryeo was able to basically say, we don't care what's going on with China, we'll do whatever we want to do. The Gundam for WOM, I don't know what WOM stands for, is interesting. You need to see it in motion before you pass your judgment. Oh, you saw the Witch of Mercury. I have not seen that. I have not seen that. I know that there was a trailer that KP shared in the mod chat, and I didn't get a chance to words. I didn't get a chance to watch the trailer yet because I've been out of it. Also need the RG new FF. What does FF stand for? Full flight? Is it got just like a bunch of effect stuff with it? I have not. I am really out of the loop. I have done nothing for the past 2 days but work. So I don't know if anything fancy has happened, just to let everybody know. So Korea has also established themselves a pretty big trade network. And this trade network is going to stretch all the way over here into Central Asia. It's going to stretch down here into China. Some of these China coastal cities in China. It has also stretched over here to Japan, which they called the Kingdom of Wa. Just W-A, like Wa. What is it good for? Trading and establishing dominance, because there were some Korean armies that had gone over and beaten up the Japanese armies. It's the kit based on the life-size new in Fukuoka. It's the one with a giant sniper funnel. Yeah, okay. I would just have to look at it. I'm not drawing that image in my brain, but that's okay. I know that you're a lot bigger of a fan of the new than I am. Waluigi's Kingdom. That's interesting, and in a certain way, it's actually fairly accurate. Of course, I know a lot of Japanese historians would get very, very angry if I said that, because they don't like the idea that Japan was sort of reliant on Korea for a lot of its cultural stuff. So I might have just offended the entire Japanese historian population, but I don't think so.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Vern, my friend, it's good to see you, and I hope that you are doing well. I need to catch up with you sometimes. Maybe we can chat on Discord or something. But I hope you are doing well. It is really good to see you. And I hope that the world is treating you as nicely as I would if I were the world. So, it's a Vern. All right. So, things are going pretty well in the old Korea. And we get an emperor. This guy, his name is Emperor Angjang, and he rules from about 519 to about 531. And things are going pretty great. He's going to keep up some trade with the Chinese, even after they want to stop, because the Koreans aren't really doing what the Chinese want them to do. He's going to be like, yeah, no, you keep talking. You'll keep trading with me, because you need what I've got. And the Chinese are like, yeah, fine. It's kind of a little flex on the Chinese. And then Pekcha and Shilla are like, we're kind of getting, sick of being dominated by Goguryeo. Maybe we should like team up or something. And he's like, And so Anjong sends the army down to Pekcha and Shilla and beats them about the head and shoulders a bit. And he's like, okay, fall back in line, punk. And like, fine, whatever. And he's also going to be responsible for some of the earliest expansions of Buddhism in the kingdom of Goguryeo. Now, Buddhism had arrived from China several decades prior, but it had really started catching on around this time. And Anjong is going to build quite a few temples and sponsor statues and art and be a patron of Buddhism. And this is going to be a pretty sort of significant and momentous occasion, right? Because when you get the imperial household that's on your side, you're going to get a lot of clout just by being, the emperor's chosen religion. Things are going pretty well. It just makes me feel like it won't go well soon. History tends to do stuff like that. Well, Metrand, just hang on. just hang on. You blame retail scheduling. Yeah, I hear you. You're new. You don't quite have your sea legs yet. You're working on it. It's okay, man. I've been there. A lot of us have been there. Vern, dude, you've always got a place here. We don't take roll, and we're always happy to see you whenever you can make it. Don't feel bad about not being able to do it. Life happens. We don't get a chance to, prepare for it a lot of times. So I'm glad you're doing okay, though. I'm glad that you got somewhere you can get your hustle on, and we'll just be happy when we can get to see you. So good to see you. Good to see you. Anjong dies fairly suddenly, and we don't really know why. Now, there are, of course, lots of speculations, because he seemed like he was doing pretty well. He's got things going. He's got a lot of stuff working for him. But he dies pretty young, and he dies without an heir. And this is a weird little thing here, because he could have probably ruled for, another few decades even. But he dies suddenly, and of course, I knew that somebody was going to ask that. Like, did he get assassinated? Some people think so, but there's no conclusive proof one way or the other. He had it coming. He only had himself to blame, right? He only did all of the things right. How dare he do all of the things right? If he could have just screwed up a little bit, people wouldn't have felt so bad. Do we get a dowager? It's like KP has paid attention to Korean and Chinese history. Today I learned Shane didn't know we were keeping attendance. If you're keeping attendance, that's on you. I don't keep attendance because I do enough of that stuff. I don't want to do that for friends. I have to do enough of that stuff for work. So, yeah. So when Anjong dies, there's a little bit of a scuffle in the court. Because some people are like, oh, there's no heir. This means we can pick the heir. And, when it comes to picking the heir, there's going to be lots of political wrangling here. And they end up settling after some harsh exchange of words on his brother, a guy named Anwan. Also, hey, you Moose, good to see you, man. This is why I purposely never let stuff go pretty well for me. Through history, it doesn't go well for the people who just don't let things get good. As soon as it gets good, that's when it goes bad. We could pick the heir. Always goes smoothly, right? Yeah, I do hate to put on airs. Right? I'm with you. So An Jiang is gonna die, pass the throne through some wrangling to his younger brother An Wan. Here's the thing: An Wan has his chief wife, right? And emperors tend to have a wife and then multiple consorts because you got to have an heir because heirs are important, right? Especially if you're the imperial household, and especially if you want to make sure that the people that are coming behind you are going to be able to stuff. Heir raising history. So his first wife, who normally would have been the sort of wife to have the next emperor, right? If there was going to be an heir, it would usually be the first wife's son. And then if you had other sons with your consorts, those would be like backup princes in case something happened to the main prince. Here's the thing though, An Wan's main wife can't have boys or doesn't have boys. Basically, they have children, but they're all girls. And at that point in Korean history, a girl could not inherit the throne. So now it's like the same factions that were arguing about who was going to be on the throne prior are now going to go, oh, wait, we get to pick the heir again. Because once you pass, like, wife, every consort is, like, more or less the same. So there's not really any different between son from consort 2 and son from consort 3. And it just so happens that An Wan has a son from consort 2 and a son from consort 3. Backup dancers to Prince. Nice. Those darn X chromosomes, right? It sounds like a classic Henry VIII. But he did have sons. He had multiple sons, one with his sort of second wife and one with his third wife. But on a level of I guess, right to inherit, second and third consort sons are basically the same thing here. So a lot of those factions that were already kind of geared up fighting to try to get their person on the throne when An Wan took over are now going to go game on. And some of the people that are nobles are going to line up under consort son 2, and some of them are going to line up under consort son 3, and then they're going to start violence. And people are going to get beaten, and some people are going to end up dying mysteriously. Consort 3, come on down! You're the next contestant on The Prince is Right. A little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. Yeah, kind of like that. It turns nasty. It starts off as sort of a feud within the capital city, but what ends up happening is that it starts spilling out of the capital city because it turns out that some of these nobles have territory and property that's stretched out all over the kingdom, as nobles do. And if you want to get rid of this noble, you might go kill his cousin over there on that part of the property, or kill his second son over there on that part of the property. And this actually turns into a full-out war. And the crazy thing is, An Wan is just like, don't I get to be emperor now? And they're like, forget you. You were a second choice anyway. We're picking the next emperor. Like, you are a placeholder at best. You're not even really that. But he's like, but I'm the emperor. Friggin' aristocracy, right? You predict an assassination in the near future. It is a good time to be an undertaker, right? So this thing spirals out into an actual civil war. And An Wan is going to like wade into the middle of it. And he's going to be like, I get to pick my heir. I get to be emperor now. And I get to decide. So he picks, he picks a side, and then he starts going out with the Imperial Army, and he's like beating everybody up. Thing is, he's not on the winning side. And in a particular battle, he gets oopsied unalived. That actually sounds like very civil of him for a civil war. Yeah, well, he gets deaded, and he dies in battle. And at that point, the situation in Goguryeo goes real sideways. Bad choice, though. Should have checked the odds before betting, right? You just played yourself. So what ends up happening in Korea is a gigantic Goguryeo civil war. And they are going to pick a new emperor, and they pick one of... He fell on someone's sword 15 times. He just tripped. It was just bad luck. He just tripped, Vern. He just tripped. Just like, oh. They do pick one of his sons. They pick his son Yangwan, who was a younger person, and Yangwan is going to sit on the throne for several years. But the big problem here is that the war is going to start taking up all of the resources of the country. And even when the new emperor gets put on the throne, the side that didn't want him on the throne isn't going to stop. And with this big internal focus, the enemies of Goguryeo are going to start recognizing the weakness, right? So this is the proverbial blood in the water thing. And it just so happens that, you know, there were two kingdoms of Korea that were really upset with Goguryeo, those being the Baekje and the Shilla. And even though Baekje and Shilla did not really like each other very much, they basically agree to a temporary alliance. They're going to say, look, I don't like you and you don't like me, but we both hate Goguryeo. So if we team up, we can beat this guy and we can take back our territory. Because one of the things that had happened in the last century was that Goguryeo had taken big chunks of territory from both Baekje and from Shilla, including the city of Seoul, the big city that used to be the capital of Baekje. So we can take it back. We can take our land back. We can stick it to the Goguryeo. They're weak. They're not going to be able to do very much. It's time to go. You don't like me. Oh, but I like you. You know, neither one of us has a date for the prom, so we can just go together, right? Huge tracts of land. I want to sing. Nope, none of that. So in 548, there is going to be a combined rebellion between Baekje and Shilla on one side and Goguryeo on the other. And for his credit, the emperor, this time Yangwan, is going to try to put the rebellion down, but it's not going to work. It doesn't go very well for him. Baekje and Shilla both manage to take back over territory. Baekje manages to retake the city of Seoul, which was a really big city, and you know it's still a pretty important city today. It's the capital of South Korea, right? So that's a big moment for them. Now, there's also a group of people from over here. Now, if you'll remember me saying earlier, one of the things that had happened because Goguryeo was so big was that they had established these Central Asian trade routes that were basically running through Mongolia and through what would be today southern Russia and into the steppe. Well, there were a lot of people over there that did not like the fact that Goguryeo had been playing favorites. They had been choosing who to trade with and who not to trade with, and they were choosing when to ally and when not to ally, and they were basically playing a lot of these Central Asian people groups off of each other to try to get advantages. And this is going to tick some of them off. And in 551, there's going to be an invasion of a group of people called the Go-Turks. Now, you're like, wait a second, Go-Turks? I thought the name of the people was Turks. Is Go-Turks some like Kmart brand transformer? No, not the GoBots. He's a soul man. Summer of Soul, indeed. There we go. The Go-Turks are actually a Turkic group, and this is sort of their first moment of a thing. Now, there had been some scuffling going on right around in this region between a larger group called the Ruran, who we've talked about multiple times on stream. But the Go-Turks are going to start nibbling around the edges here. And they're going to start invading this sort of northern part of Goguryeo. Hey, Uncle Bill, what's up? They sound like a delicious dairy product. They are a fusion. Yeah, not Go-Gurt. Screwtog. Screwtog the Go-Turk. That sounds like a D&D character I would play. Welcome to Twitch tab number 7. Yeah, man. Uncle Bill, I saw some of your responses. Um, so I don't know how many of you all use the actual Twitch desktop app, but I really like it. And Twitch decided as of yesterday, or they announced yesterday that they are shutting it down. So there will no longer be a Twitch desktop app, and I'll have to use browser windows for that. And that sort of makes me sad, but it is what it is. Yeah, I know it's annoying. Um, it is rubbish, and I mean, I guess I understand why they want to. They're spending money, and it's not used as much as the browser windows is, and you're just about lies on his. Yeah, I feel you, Lumpy. I feel you on that. Um, if Lumpy still has Life Force left this weekend, you should give him a follow and go watch him do Minecraft stuff. It's fascinating. And also listen to him talk, because he's a wise individual with lots of life reference and fun stuff like that. Chrome. Chrome. I can't use Chrome. It sucks too much resources. I hate it. If there were if there was a way to destroy Chrome, if I had the Infinity Gauntlet and could snap away half of the browsers, I would make sure that Chrome was one of them. Like Chrome and the last remnant of Internet Explorer, and let's just go ahead and get rid of Opera. What else would I get rid of? Original version Mac Safari, that's just hot garbage. Let's not use that. The standard browser for Android smartphones, we don't need any of that either. I'm mostly a Firefox person, but I also have become quite fond of Brave. I really like its zippiness and its low overhead. Um, so, mostly Firefox, but also Brave. So, there we go. Anyway, go Turks. Netscape is the best browser, fight me. If you have a time machine and we can go back to the 90s or maybe the early 2000s when Netscape was actually a thing, I could fight you then. It would be a time battle. I'm fighting suspicious bankers and making chemistry advancements this week. 1 week to go before the grand finale of the home. Oh yeah, you're fighting the bankers. The bankers are always out to get you. Isn't the stock Android browser just Chrome? No, there's well, I don't know, it might be Chrome repackaged, but there's some weird little stock browser on Android phones that is the hottest of garbage. Navigator Wars. Right? You found a time travel thing. Fight of the Navigator. Oh, dude. Flight of the Navigator is such my heart. Oh, man, I love that movie. I cannot tell you how many times I watched Flight of the Navigator as a kid. I wanted my own spaceship so freaking bad. And one that it's like Knight Rider for kids, but it can also go in space. How friggin' cool is that, man? Flight of the Navigator is a special place in my heart. Ahem. I don't know what that ahem is for, but I'll take it, whatever. So, the Go Turks invade. And in the middle of all the Civil War stuff and the rebellion from Pekcha and Shilla, somehow the Goguryeo do manage to force out the Go-Turk invasion. But they had to spend a lot of effort to do so. And this is going to spend a lot of their soldiers to maintain a lot of their territory up in the north especially. And this is going to be kind of breaking point for Goguryeo. Wait, now what? You've never heard of Flight of the Navigator? Oh, come on, Moose. Oh, man. It's so good. It's so good. Time travel mention. Oh. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I just broke the Medved. Nah, I mean, I'm not... not everybody had the same childhood that I did. And if you missed Flight of the Navigator, I'm sorry that you didn't have that experience as a kid, but you can go watch it now. I don't know how it would hold up. It might not be as good now. Now I kind of want to watch it again. What up, sci-fi? Yeah! Flight of the Navigator is awesome. Such a great movie. Anyway, so Goguryeo, if we look back at where we were, Goguryeo was this. Look how much territory they had. So much territory. By the end of this is what they have. They've lost basically all of this territory. We watched it about a year ago and you felt it held up pretty well. Awesome. I'll have to give it another watch. So you can't really tell too terribly much, but basically a lot of this territory up here that was from Goguryeo is going to go away, and their border is now down here, which on this map would basically be like right here. So they lose all of this, and they're going to lose all of this, and they're going to lose this, and they're not going to be in good shape. Right? So they have lost a ton of land. But you're like, oh, look at Shilla and Pekcha coming back up. But look at Shilla. That's like a big dog. Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second. You get a parcel notification. Email says, open until 6. I get there. On the door, it says 5:30, written by hand. I get in. The guy says, no worries, we're open until 5. What would happen if I ask again? What if time travel is not a spiffy machine, but just an idiot behind a counter you have to ask for the time over and over again? All lumpy. Oh man, I really hate dealing with things like post offices and shipping, and especially government-based time things. You know, like when you have to go to some building that is open till certain time or close at certain time, because you never end up at the right place at the right time. And you can go look it up on the internet and you show up there and it doesn't work. I'll give you an example. You know, we went to Mac and I, well, no, I shouldn't. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Too much sidetrack. I'm not going to chase the rabbits. I'm going to be like the good Jaeger pilots in Pacific Rim, and I'm not going to chase the rabbit. That sounds like a great Monty Python sketch. It would have been a great Monty Python sketch. The pandemic gave the excuse to give bad service. That's, I feel that. I really do feel that. I feel that one pretty close to heart. Get on with it. Okay. So, what's going on with our other kingdoms? Well, let's go down to Pekcha. Down there we have an emperor whose name is Song. And he rules from 523 to 554. And he's going to be one of the instrumental, like, we're going to rebel against the Goguryeo people. But he's also going to get a little bit of a kind of a future look. So he is wise enough to see that Goguryeo is having big internal problems. And it doesn't really take necessarily a lot to see this, so you can't give him too much credit for that. But he comes up with an interesting concept, and that is, for a really long time, Korea had basically been under Chinese domination. So China had controlled a big portion of Korea. And if we look at the map, they basically had all of this territory right here for a really long time, for hundreds of years. And Pekcha goes, we have always fought against Chinese domination. And Goguryeo basically suckered us in to fight against China, and then they took us over. So here's the kind of twist here. What if Pekcha decides to ally with China? And specifically here, to try to ally with them in the hopes that Chinese connections would be able to protect them from Goguryeo. Song of the South. Um, I think that one might have to go in the vault, and we never mention it again. And also, don't mention the fact that Splash Mountain is reminiscent of Song of the South. I don't think we're supposed to talk about Song of the South. Unless we're talking about the song by smash hit country music band Alabama, who had a song called Song of the South, and it goes like, Song of the South, sweet potato pie, and I shut my mouth, which is actually a pretty decent song that I listened to about a bajillion times when I was a kid. But we don't talk about Bruno. I still haven't seen Encanto. I haven't seen a Disney movie, like a children's Disney movie, since... I think the last one that I saw was maybe Zootopia. But I hadn't even seen many before that. I never saw... I still haven't seen the first Frozen. I've seen bits of it, but I haven't seen the whole thing. I know enough to know that I don't want to watch it. I haven't seen Frozen 2. I don't know. I'd have to look at a list and tell you which ones I haven't seen. I haven't seen many, though. But I have not seen Encanto. Even though it does... like, the main character's voice is Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I can't remember the actress's name. And I thought, oh, I'm glad that she's doing work because Brooklyn Nine-Nine ended. And I always worry about actors from TV shows that are on TV shows for a long time and then the show ends. I'm like, are they going to be able to find something else to do? And I'm glad to see that Rosa's getting work. And I apologize to Rosa for not knowing your actual name. The best part of Frozen 2 was Kristoff's 80s hair metal power ballad. I don't need that. That would not benefit my life at all. Happy Feet angered you too much. I've never seen Happy Feet. You may want to see Frozen 2 in a sociology capacity. Can I just get you to write me like a sociology paper that describes it so that I can then just like cite you instead of having to watch the movie myself? Also, hey, Tuna, good to see you. According to Big Tuna Neil site, I would rather do it that way. Anyway, so colonialization. Yes, I remember that. There's a reason you didn't finish college. And post-colonialization. I'll take things Shane hasn't seen for 200. There's a lot. There is a lot. The days of me seeing every movie that comes out are long past. I used to see everything. And when I say everything, I mean like everything that came out in theaters. Writing papers is one reason. StarCraft was another. Hey, I played a lot of StarCraft back in the day. A lot of StarCraft. I missed college assignments and college classes because of StarCraft. Man, I was in a guild and we were doing pretty well, and we would play like the official Blizzard tournaments. Like we'd enter the tournaments and stuff, and we head down. We were like running third-party software on our side to track keystrokes and how fast we were doing things, like hotkeying stuff. And I mean, I played StarCraft a lot. Inside Out is a solid primer on emotional maturity and emotional development. I did try really, really hard to get KP into StarCraft. KP typically doesn't like real-time strategy games, though. So KP also... So we don't 100% overlap. Like, our Venn diagram overlaps a lot, but, like, KP really likes racing games, and I find racing games tedious. There have been a couple that I've enjoyed here or there, but I'm not a really big racing game fan. And I like real-time strategy, but KP tends to not be a real-time strategy player. But we both really like RPGs. I'm probably a bit more of an FPS player than KP is, but there are FPSs that KP's played and enjoyed. All those computers land together. Who could sleep or do? Right. You suck at RTS, and therefore you don't have fun with it. Okay, I'll translate that word salad there for you. You okay, bud? You like NASCAR games, but it wore out the left side of the thumbstick. Yeah, you're just driving in a circle. You're just driving in a circle. Did I ever do my NASCAR impression for you all? I can't remember if I ever did my NASCAR impression for you all. You think it's time for me to head off? Nothing on schedule, but you've been awake since Wednesday. Holy crap! Yeah, Metriand, dude. Yeah. You probably play more FPSs than me? I don't know about that, man. We don't have to sit here and like argue about who's played more first-person shooters. But Metrian, thanks for dropping by. Hope you have a good one. If you like real-time strategies, you should. Yeah, Lumpy. And I've talked about even trying. Well, you've asked me if I had a computer that would play Civ 5. I didn't, but I might now. Note, I might. I don't know if my current computer with the graphics card upgrade that I got would play Civ 5 in a good way. Korea played more FPS games than you. Korea plays more everything than me. Everything than me. So there's the link, right? I'll tell you that when we played StarCraft and we got into the like Blizzard Battle League and we were doing guild stuff with StarCraft and we got paired against a Korean team, we just almost recognized that we were about to get pwned, and we did. I mean, we could do our best, but dude, we could not beat the Koreans in StarCraft. They were just like, friggin' amazing. Have ever tried Dawn of War? The very first one is a gem. I have not played Dawn of War. If I should play it, I will be okay. I'm getting off topic again. Blah, blah, blah. Laser focused. Let's talk about Emperor Song. Okay. He decides that it's time to make friendly with China. And so he's going to start sending emissaries to China in order to establish good, positive working relationships with the Chinese. So this is a big step for Pekja because they had some connections with the Chinese before, but it always had been things like, we're going to be subservient to you. And now it's like, can we be friends? And China's like, okay, maybe. Are you going to be nice to us? And Pekja's like, are you going to be nice to us? And they kind of work out a deal here where they're going to be mutually beneficial. But Emperor Song is also going to be really big on the Buddhism. Remember that Buddhism had just sort of become very popular in Korea. And Pekja especially is going to be big on even doing Buddhist missionary stuff. And it's around the rule of Emperor Song, who rules again 523 to 554. In the 530s, they're going to start sending missionaries to Japan. So Buddhist monks and people that are going to bring Buddhism to Japan. And this is a big deal, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on the backside of the stream. But it was going pretty well for Emperor Song, and you kind of know what that means. It turns out to not go very well because Shilla, that other kingdom, had been double dealing on them. When the Go Turks invaded in 551 and invaded Goguryeo, Shilla decided that they were going to start working under the table with Goguryeo because Goguryeo at that point needed some backup, and Shilla had already taken a whole bunch of land from Goguryeo and was in a prime position to sort of cut deals. And Shilla decided that the deal that they were going to make was basically they got some territory from Goguryeo and they got some territory from Pekja, and they were going to stab Pekja in the back. Specifically here, Emperor Song feels this directly because Shilla starts invading Pekja, and he's like, oh crap, this is not good. This is not what you're supposed to do. We're supposed to be friends. And Shilla's like, your land is my land, and we're going to take it. And there is a really big battle, and Emperor Song is at the battle trying to lead the army against the Shilla, and it's not going well, so he tries to escape. And as he's escaping, there had actually been a detachment to sort of watch this road, and some soldiers jump out and waylay Emperor Song, and he gets killed fleeing from the big battle here. You're the Grandmaster Distractor. I could have sworn instead of Buddhism you were going to say he was big on the booty. Maybe loot, but I don't know. I don't know his particular proclivities when it came to the booty. I don't think that he got assassinated. He got killed in a battle. If you want to call that assassination, I'm not sure. I think that if you get killed in a battle, that just gets chalked up to getting killed in a battle. They did not arrest him, put him on trial, and chop his head off. And they didn't sneak in and kill him. So I'm going to say that he died in battle. Now, what's going to happen after that? What's another name for pirate treasure? Booty. Hey, Kelly, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. What's a battle? When someone says they haven't seen Flight of the Navigator and someone else that loves it has. That's a battle. I'm just picking. We get a new emperor in Baekje, and his name is Widok. Battle Creek. There we go. Widok is Emperor Song's son, and he is ruling a pretty isolated Baekje because Shilla has surrounded them on 3 sides at this point because... Oop, wrong. There we go. See? All over. And Baekje's not even in contact with Goguryeo anymore because Shilla has taken all of this territory as well. It's not going good for the Baekje. So what does Widok do? Well, he really starts doubling down on this China thing. And he's like, okay, look, let's just get China going. We're gonna expand trade with China, and we're going to help China even against Goguryeo, and we're really just going to kind of lick our wounds and hole up. And he rules from 554 to 598, and honestly, he doesn't really get much done. He was ruling a much diminished kingdom in a pretty bad spot. So, did that child just ask, what's a battle? No, he said, what's the rattle? The air conditioners have been acting up. Wide okay. Widok is how you pronounce that. Widok. The EO kind of makes an sound. I'm once again asking for your Chinese assistance, right? Pretty much. Now, what about Shilla? What's going on in the kingdom of Shilla? Well, things are going pretty well for them. Let's just be real honest. And the guy that is mostly responsible for it is their emperor, whose name is Jin Hung. So, what's this guy up to? Well, first off, he's the one responsible for doing the old backstab to Baekje. He's the one that works out the under the table deal with Goguryeo that allows Shilla to expand and take over all of that territory to the north of Baekje. So he's got that on his hands. And after dealing with and killing Emperor Song, he's going to set his eyes on the Gaia Confederacy. So if we go back to our last map here, and you remember that the Gaia Confederacy right here was this little group of city-states, it's time for them to go. And they had been shrinking and not being as big of a deal for a couple of 100 years now. But specifically, they had teamed up with the Baekje against Shilla. And Shilla was just like, no. And Jin Hung was like, we're just going to end you. And so Shilla, under his... Shilla and Charybdis, right? Under the command of Jin Hung, they're just going to go in and wipe out the Gaia Confederacy. And this is like the last time that those cities are basically going to be independent pretty much ever. Because when they get absorbed into Shilla, they never really ever get freedom again. So Jin Hung has got some stuff going on. he's also going to be, interestingly, uh, oh crud! I forgot to show that guy's picture. Oh, let me back up a little bit. I have this guy. So this is. I apologize. I have neglected my pictorial duties. So if you remember me mentioning that Emperor Song was really big on Buddhism, this is actually Emperor Song here. And he is in a statue with all of the big, cool Buddhist motifs. Right? Now this, of course, is in Korean style, but you've got your lotus leaves, and you've got your, your orbs of the world, and you've got your really cool halo effect things going on here. Not as Buddha, perhaps more as a Bodhisattva. I'm sorry, Bodhisattva. I always say that wrong because my brain just wants to say it backwards. A Bodhisattva is kind of like a demigod inside of Buddhism, or maybe an angel. It's hard to exactly say. It needs more chonky horse. But this is Emperor Song, and the reason this statue exists is mostly because he was, again, such a big supporter of Buddhism. He was a big Buddhist supporter and purporter. All right, so there's that. Now I can, I guess, go ahead and show the next big image here. So this is a big stela, and if we zoom in, we can tell that on the surface of the stela is a lot of writing. One who refuses nirvana in order to help others, bodhisattva. Yeah, so that's the definition, but a lot of people, especially when I'm teaching Buddhism in school, people always try to find, or students always try to find a comparison. Like, are these gods? And I'm like, kind of, but also no. And they're like, well, are they angels? And I'm like, kinda, but also no. There's not really a direct one-to-one parallel with what we might call a Western religious concept to bodhisattvas. They're here to help, and they are enlightened and empowered former humans, basically. But thank you, Kelly, for supplying the specific definition there. Buddha taught modesty, so I made this statue of myself as Buddha's deity. Not like Plato in the wall. This is a big stela, and it was something that Jin Hyung put into display after he beat up a whole bunch of people. So this is the good old-fashioned, I kicked your butt and I wrote a story about it and put this big rock up in your yard so that you remember that I kicked your butt. And this is something that happens a lot through history. This particular one here is about 2 meters tall, or about 6.5, 7 foot tall. So there we go. You read a lot of beat poetry, hence you know about bodhisattvas. Ah, yes, yes. Shane explaining Buddhism sounds a lot like Shane explaining the Maiar. Are you talking about the Valar and the Maiar? Oh, man. And there's Maiar for you. So for those of you not familiar, the Valar and the Maiar are the deities in Tolkien's universe, and the Maiar are sub-deities of, or demigods, if you will. Not really angels, but sort of. Kind of, sort. That's, and to be fair, well, no, I can't say that. There's a substantial difference between the Maiar and a bodhisattva. Bodhisattvas used to be humans, and they are enlightened humans that have gained transcendence from the physical earth body, but have chosen to stay inside the earth realm in order to aid other people to get to nirvana. So basically, they're like one step below transcending existence and flipping over into full-out nirvana, but they're hanging around to try to help other people get there. And the Maiar can't be bodhisattvas because they were from outside of creation and brought into creation. And bodhisattva's from inside creation and hasn't left yet. Get on with it. Okay. I'm a giant nerd, and I always want to make sure that I'm being clear. You made it just in time for Sheila. So they're the heart-shaped box era? No. So, yeah, we're talking about Jin Hung. Figment, if you are wanting a quick catch-up, this is in the mid-500s when Pekcha and Sheila teamed up to take out Goguryeo, managed to push them out of a lot of territory, and then Sheila backstabbed Pekcha and stole a whole bunch of their land from them, specifically under the guy Jin Hyung here. Also, hey, hope you're doing well. And you are about to witness the arrival of a group that you probably know quite a bit about. Specifically, because I would bet that, well, I don't know. The Hwarang. Hwarang. Alright, so who are these people? Now, let me be clear here. If you know anything about, like, Korean culture, the Hwarang, when they first get started, are not what they end up as. Not what they end up as. Originally, the Hwarang were a group of very young aristocracy. Not Hwarang from Tekken. Though I will say that Hwarang was one of my favorite characters in Tekken because he was a Taekwondo fighter. You can win by just pressing the O button. Hwarang are that. So this sometimes also translates to flower knights. Now, here's the thing about Hwarang. The Emperor Jin Hung is going to basically form this group, and it's kind of like a rough equivalent to this might be like Korean chivalry. And these are sort of like your high-class young nobles who are going to get specialized training. Yeah, they don't translate very well. It just doesn't work so much. But these are going to be young aristocratic nobles who are going to get training in archery and fencing and horseback riding, and they're also going to get a lot of sometimes personalized teaching on Buddhism. There were some Buddhist monks who had actually sort of been lumped in as official teachers of Hwarang. And the reason that these are going to exist is this is sort of a way for Jin Hung to establish a command structure core of his army. Right? He needs to have people that are going to be on his side, but that are going to fight the way that he wants them to fight. So he sort of makes this group as a kind of a cool kids group. Like if you can go join the Hwarang, you're kind of like a cool kid. And these were typically depicted as very beautiful young men who had sort of the grace and glory of battle, that were going to go fight for the emperor and do the right thing. Now, over time, the Hwarang turned into something that is a lot more showboaty. But I was unable to find a good image of them historically, so I have found a picture of a reenactor. So this is somebody that is wearing an outfit that is styled off of the original. He is using an original double recurve bow here, and riding a little bitty horse. So this is, again, this is not an ancient photo. I can't confirm that this is exactly what the Hwarang would have looked like if they were training. But this is a fairly accurate representation of what one would look like. Yeah, again, it's not from the 500s. But especially here, the feathers. These are things that become pretty big, and later on when they become much more showboaty, the headdresses especially are going to get rather more elaborate. But that's later on. Tuna beat you to it. Also needs more chonky on that horse. I mean, it is not the skinniest of horses. And it is also not a very big horse. This would maybe be a pony. But he is definitely not chonky. I would say that he is chunk-ish, maybe, but not chunk-y. For those of you that have no idea what we're talking about here, if you're hanging around for the first time, one of the mascots of the stream is Chunky Horse. And unfortunately, I've still yet to find a good way to integrate that into the stream in a more visual and standing way. But Chunky Horse is kind of a thing. J. Mark Hiller is a chunky horse. All right, so that's what's going on with Korea. Now, let us switch over and talk about what's going on in Japan. You need a chunky horse emote. I was considering working on one, but I was also going to work on like an animated emote for that. You're a Chucky horse. Hats and accessories are always indicator of rank and dignity traditionally, so that's what the feathers are for. Right. Thank you. And Figment, if you have any additional information, for those of you that don't know, Figment spent several years living and teaching in Korea. So if you have any other additional information that you want to throw in there, please do. It would enlighten the rest of the group and probably teach me something as well. So when later on, when they become sort of a more fashionable and less warrior, the hats just kind of go crazy. I know that we also sort of have a thing about rating people's hats. So there we go. All right, so what's going on in Japan? So when we last talked about Japan, we had talked about a group called the Yamato Court. And they had basically started right about here at Yamato, and they had expanded to take over most of Japan here. So the big island here of Honshu, Shikoku, and part of Kyushu. Hats and chins. Feel free to lie to Shane and see if he can tell. Sure, I wouldn't mind that. Also, feel free to say that I'm lying all right now, because, I mean, just to be real, you don't know if I'm lying to you. I could be making all this crap up. You should never believe a word that I tell you. This is just a beginning spot for you to go do your own research. I'm not lying to you, by the way. But you should always be healthily skeptical about any source, especially sources on the internet. Yamato Cannon operational, right? That much of Japan became a space battleship. Oh, ho, ho, space battleship Yamato. No, that's just named after this period. I got that reference. All right, so for the last period of time and the period of time before that and the period of time before that, so for the last basically 4 centuries, we've been talking about Japan, and they have a lot of history, but we don't know about the dates. Now, a lot of this stuff that we get about Japanese history, especially from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th centuries, has dates attached to it. And if you read the Nihon Shoki, which is sort of like the Japanese history of kings, they're going to give you ruling dates, and it's going to say this person lived for this long and ruled for this long and started on this day of this month of this year and da-da-da-da-da. And archaeologically, we can't back any of that up. And I know that would make a lot of Japanese historians angry. I've already made them angry this stream anyway, so I may as well go ahead and just say all of it and just get it kind of out in the open, but I've said this many times already. It's really hard to determine dates prior to this century, and specifically prior to a guy who is named Emperor Kin-mei. Which brings us to Kin-mei, all your lovin'. Emperor Kin-mei. He's the first guy that we know. We know when he reigned, and he reigns for a long time. He reigns from 539 to 571. And that's a pretty long reign. They also had an honorary head or a sponsor or a captain from the royal family, a princess generally, or a religious leader. But that was pretty quickly ended after two of the female captains got into a blowout fight that divided the Warong, although scholars take that with a grain of salt since the two women were different in rank and traditionally didn't like each other on a personal level, and it was a mess. Now, is that... So there was this, and this is going to get deep in the weeds. So if you all don't know very much about Korean history, this is about to get kind of weird. But I feel like Figment might know. The original concept of having this sort of flower night beautiful guy thing was actually based on a group of women that was from a previous situation, a previous group. Are these two women in that group, and this happened before the Warong became in existence, or was that contiguous with the beginning of the Hwarong, and that's what made them sort of separate further? I don't know if that makes any sense. I also have trouble nailing down dates. Giggity. Yeah, we've had to ban practically the entire Japanese Archaeological Society on here tonight. You finally find detailed records in this area in this time period, and everything not in these detailed records contradicts all those detailed records. Yeah, the captains were supposed to represent that heritage. Okay. So they sort of kept these two captains around as representatives of... Okay, that makes more sense, Figment. I appreciate you clarifying that for me. No, it doesn't contradict everything prior to that, but what happens is that we have records from Japan in the Nihon Shoki that reference a specific event at a specific time that we can definitely nail down, because we also have a specific record of that event and a specific date of that happening from Pekja. Because when Emperor Kin-mei is around, this is when the first big Buddhist missionary event happens, where people from Pekja go to Japan and bring with them a whole bunch of Buddhist monasteries. Buddhist monks, and they specifically bring with them a big statue of Buddha himself that is delivered directly to Emperor Kin-mei. So we have his name in both sources, we have the specific date in both sources, and for the first time we can actually nail down exactly when this is. Now, what this means is that we can speculate backwards, and we can say that the dates before him and the emperors before him may or may not be more or less accurate, but some of these reigns before him, go on for like 90 years, or some of them are like, this emperor took over at when he was 50 and ruled for another 45 years. So did he really rule until he was 95? Some of this stuff gets like real sketchy. So Kin-mei is an important individual because he is sort of the first dateable, not dateable like, hey, he's an eligible bachelor. He's actually got multiple wives. He is the first nail down solid date that we have that corresponds with outside sources, and we know for a fact archaeologically this guy happened at this time. And that's really important because we're going to start seeing more instances of this happening on later on, and we're going to be able to much more firmly assess specific dates within Japan. So he's a pretty big dude, even just for that, but he's also important because he does a whole bunch of other stuff. For example, his reign marks the end of the Kofun period. So we have been for the last 3 centuries talking about the Kofun period, which ran from about 250 or so to about 538. And when Emperor Kin-mei comes on the throne, we are going to move into a new period of time where Japan is going to be much more exposed to the outside world and have much more central power and authority. And this is going to be called the Asuka period. And Asuka is named after a specific city. By the end of the stream tonight, they will have actually moved the capital city from Yamato to Asuka. So Kin-mei is a pretty big deal. Now, excuse me. when the Buddhists show up, this is going to cause some trouble amongst the clans of Japan. Some of the clans are going to really hate Buddhism, and they're going to say that this is a threat to the established traditional religion of Japan, which was called Shinto. They're going to say that this was blaspheming against the Shinto gods, that this new foreign religion was also not being used in an altruistic way. This was being used to basically exert foreign control over Japan by getting them to sort of, throw in with the Koreans. There's a lot of people that do not care for the Buddhists when they show up. And specifically, one of the really big, powerful clans is the Mononobe clan. And they really did not like the arrival of Buddhism. And they were very close to the emperor and had actively tried to get him to sort of send this stuff back and get away from this. But there were other people, especially clans that were interested in establishing stronger ties with the outside world, that were big fans of Buddhism, because this was going to destabilize the clan system. And the clan that, the sort of leading clan that really liked Buddhism was called the Soga clan. And the Soga clan was going to sort of cozy up next to the emperor, and they were going to create, with the emperor's help, a new position inside of the government that was called Oomi. And an Oomi was a sort of grand advisor. And of course, the Soga clan being the one that sort of brought this into being, they're going to be able to put their clan leader in this really big advisory spot. And for about the next 100 or so years, maybe a little bit less than 100 years, the Soga clan is going to be very, very influential. And this is actually going to cause a lot of trouble, because the Mononobe clan and their supporters of the anti-Buddhist sect are going to push back against this idea. They claim that the Soga clan really didn't care about Buddhism. They were just using this as political leverage to get in good favor with the emperor and push themselves more higher up the chain. And it was a big mess. And this is going to start some really big internal clan struggles. And this is not going to break out in what we might call like an open war, but there's going to be a lot of really sort of shady dealings. There's going to be a lot of sabotage, a lot of political intrigue, a lot of ratting people out and setting up, false witnesses about things and trying to slander each other. And inside of a court structure in Japan, this is not the first time that something like this has happened, but this particular moment in the beginning of the Asuka period is really, really important, because what it does is it starts to change the way that the emperor has to work. And the emperor in the Yamato period the Kofun period, when they were at Yamato, had been very, very, very clearly in charge. And the emperor from Yamato could make or break any clan that they wanted to. If they wanted to break a clan, they could just take all the land and all the titles away from that clan, and that would just be the end of them. But when we get into this new period of time where these really big clans have lots of money and lots of influence, the emperor has to start playing more of a balancing act, where he still has a lot of operating power, but if he were to exercise a lot of that unilaterally, it would cause multiple down the chain events that he could not control, especially economically speaking. Big Trouble in Little Japan, yeah. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. Yeah, pretty much, right? Don't you put that in your heart? Don't you put that in your heart? And the Japanese are just like, right. So, Emperor Kin-mei is going to oversee a lot of turmoil, and there's going to be a lot of struggle to get close to the emperor, to push other people away from the emperor. By the way, this is Emperor Kin-mei. Hat is a little bit lacking in style. It's more of just like a head wrap that goes around the top knot. Maybe a 4 out of 10. Pretty smart with the mustache and beard. Facial hair kind of on point here, looking pretty slick. Nice looking kimono. But, you know, that's Kin-mei. What's my next one? Well, no, that's... Nope, 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 nope. We'll get to that in just a second. So, in the midst of some of this chaos, the external connections with China and especially Korea are going to get cut off. Now, Japan is still going to trade with some of these people, but the sort of the good free exchange of ideas and the good free friendships things are going to suffer a little bit because, and this is fairly common, right? When there's a really big internal struggle, it's hard to look outside, and Japan just sort of looks inside for a little while. That's going to change when Emperor Kin-mei dies and we get a new emperor, specifically his son. Where's my button here? Here we go. His son's name is Badatsu. Emperor Badatsu. He rules from 572 to 585. Now, he takes over kind of in the middle of this stuff. He's got a minimalistic style, subdued yet refined. But the point of his stash is, yeah, like it's like those waxed mustaches that just come down and like almost make a pencil lead point. Right? So what is Badatsu going to do? Well, he's taking over in the middle of this big clan struggle. And he's actually sort of not necessarily super convinced about this Buddhist stuff, but I mean, he's not going to be openly anti-Buddhist stuff. And of course, the Aomi, the big advisor, is still going to be from the Soga clan, and they're super pro-Buddhism. But what he's going to try to do is reach back out to some of these foreign contacts, because he's realizing that one of the ways that he could, I don't know, maybe regain some imperial clout is if he could sort of negotiate with some foreign stuff, because that was not something that any of the clans could do. The only person that could really negotiate international trade treaties was the emperor. So maybe this was a way to kind of give him a leg back up and establish finances and fortunes that he could control that the rest of the clans would have limited access to, right? So this is sort of a way that he's going to not necessarily get back in control, but definitely shore up his position, if you will. And that's why I had this picture. So this picture actually comes from China, and it's a pretty interesting idea here because what we see are three different individuals, and they all have little labels here. But this particular image comes from this time period, the 6th century. The emperor knows better than to completely go against the Landsraad. The great houses will not stand for this. I demand all of your voting records in Chom. If you all don't know what we're talking about, it's a Dune reference, and I'm a giant Dune fan. Man, that's got to be coming out on Blu-ray pretty soon, doesn't it? When does Dune come out on Blu-ray? I want to watch that crap again. Oh man, that was such a great movie. And like turn all the volume like way up so that it blows. Just like all the sound was so good on that. You think it's out? How did I not know about that? Man, I'm gonna have to get that. That might be a splurge for this weekend. Oh, I don't know. See, now it's like, do I want to watch that again? And do I want to buy the Blu-ray for the first version, or do I want to wait till the second one comes out? Dune will come out on Blu-ray when the sequel is coming out to theaters. And see, that's the thing. Like, do I want to buy Blu-ray version 1, or do I want to wait until they come out with the second one? Because you know they're going to do something like some director's cut, smashed together dual Blu-ray special extended Uber edition. Dune Blu-ray walks without rhythm. It does not attract the worm. Sound was... Oh, dude, Lumpy, the sound on that show was so good. It was so good. and they are likely to make Dune Messiah. Now I know that Villeneuve said that there was a hope of making a third, but Kelly, are you hearing things where they've actually greenlit that and they're going to, or they have set aside money to? Because that's going to make my little nerd heart go pitter patter, and I'm going to have to calm myself down if that's the case. Man, that was such a good movie. Anyway, what we're looking at here, I told you all, if you're just here for the first time, we chase the tangents quite a bit. What we're looking at, these are 3 different ambassadors. So this particular silk screen comes from China, and what we see here is an ambassador from the Kingdom of Wa, which is Japan, and we have an ambassador from the Empire of Shilla, and we have an ambassador from the Empire of Pekcha. So, of course, these are all stylized, and this is the way that China depicted these individuals, but we can get some interesting things from here. We could get some interesting stuff. So we can already see that there are substantial differences in dress between our Japanese and Koreans. Now, our Korean guys have different colors, but the style here is roughly the same. We've got the same big kind of broad necklines, and we've got the same big, sleeves and the trousers. And we've got some evidence of that, maybe kind of copying that from Japan. The Japanese one has a darker complexion. Yeah, that's actually a really great point. And there's a lot of speculation as to why. We know that the Japanese people can have a more olive complexion than some of the people from northern China or Korea. And what this could represent is, and this is going to be kind of rough, a very biased view of what Japanese people looked like. Certainly they did not have this kind of, dark, almost greenish skin. But this might have been the Chinese going, oh, they clearly aren't Chinese. And let's be real, the Chinese do that a lot. The Ainu people. So now, even the Ainu people at this point aren't the ones that are running the Yamato court. At that point, the Ainu people were already being beaten the crap out of. But especially the facial hair stuff that we saw, that was something that was much more Japanese than it was in a lot of other places. Let me catch up with chat. They have not, but OMG, they will. Messiah would do well as a single movie. Children would probably be 2. You don't see it going past children, and that's a good leaving off point. Did you do that because you know that I like God Emperor and you're just trying to spite me? I understand. Doing God Emperor would be really, really, really hard. The Ainu are the hairiest people ever. Well, they're descended from bears. Cryonics. Also, hey, Cryonics. Good to see you, my friend. The Ainu believe that they are descended from bears. Yep. Oh, I also forgot to show you this. I'm doing really poorly about my my photos today. So this particular shrine right here is the shrine where Kin-mei is buried. So this is the grave site and shrine to the Emperor Kin-mei. And it's got this really cool sand garden around it. Of course, like the raked sand. And then this nice Torii gate here. Very, very cool. Amazon Blu-ray Digital Frank Herbert. Da 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 da. Well, there it is. I don't. I'm gonna have to talk about that. I mean, it would be cool to have this and watch it, but I also know that they're going to do some Uber version of this, right? Like, we all know that they're going to do some combined super version, aren't they? I mean, you can tell me like I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that they'll end up doing something like that. Am I correct? Just tell me that I'm right. Okay, so Badatsu is going to do some work. He's got some legwork to do. He's going to reestablish some contacts. He's going to try to get some trade going. He's successful at getting some trade going. But crazy thing about trade, when stuff goes around, it goes around on trade ships. And during this period of time, smallpox. Smallpox is going to pop up in Japan. And smallpox starts killing lots of people, including Emperor Badatsu, who dies from bleeding open sores. And this is almost certainly smallpox. They'll probably do a box set, but I don't know if it will be a super secret dragon version. I don't know, man. I feel like there's got to be extra footage. They had so much stuff that they could have added to that movie. I feel like there's got to be some deleted scenes or something that they're going to mix in there with some director cut something or other. I don't know. I might be completely wrong here. So when Badatsu dies, this is actually going to be a fairly tumultuous period because nobody really knows who's going to be emperor next. Badatsu had a wife, and he didn't have any kids with her. And when he couldn't have kids with his wife, and this is going to sound kind of weird, he married his half-sister. And he had kids with his half-sister who were his son-nephews. And one of the son-nephews is going to be a potential ruler, but also his brother is going to be a potential emperor. And all of the different, these big factions that are arguing already are going to kind of do the same thing that happened in Korea, where we're going to put our person on the throne, and that person's only going to last like 2 years, and no, we're not going to put our person on the throne, and that doesn't work either. And what ends up happening is something rather interesting. There's going to be a ruling empress. This is Empress Suiko. The Lannister method of succession. Yeah, you have kids with your own family members and then put them on the throne. The ladies need to see some of that sexy Duncan Idaho. He's so hot right now. I mean, Jason Momoa is a good-looking dude. He really didn't have very much screen time in that movie, though. There's got to be more scenes with him, right? Oh, Figment. Yeah, Jason Momoa. He's Figment. If you haven't seen the Dune movie, you've got to watch Dune. It's really great. And Timothée Chalamet, that dude's hot right now too. He's in a whole bunch of movies. That guy's been all over the place. I've seen him in several things, and he's been excellent in them. He was really good in Little Women. I know a lot of people don't like Little Women as a concept, but the Little Women movie that came out in 2019, in December of 2019, was actually quite good. And if you haven't seen it, I would really actually recommend it. They do a really good job of blending the timelines together in a way that was unique and interesting. But anyway, this is Empress Suiko. So she was the half-sister / wife of Emperor Badatsu, and the mother of one of the potential heirs to the throne who doesn't last. And Zendaya is also all over the place. Yeah, she really is. And she was like in that movie for a hot second. But I kind of figured that would be where they cut the movie. I sort of figured that ahead of time, and I think everybody probably figured that. I'm not claiming some sort of like, special prescient knowledge here. I wasn't on the spice. Oh yeah, I mean, Oscar Isaac's everything. He's Moon Knight now. Has anybody seen Moon Knight? I know KP's seen Moon Knight and said that it was very trippy. Anybody else seen Moon Knight? Moon Knight's one of my favorite characters, and I got really upset that they were going to make it PG-13 because I just don't think that he works as PG-13. He needs to be R. He needs to be able to cuss and smoke and beat people really, really bloody and then chop their face off with razor blades. All right, so Suiko is going to end up being able to rule by herself. She rules a long time, too. She rules from 576 to 628, and we're not going to cover her entire rule. We're just going to cover the part that wraps up our century here. So Suiko is going to end up ruling by herself, and she is the first solo female empress. So she is the first ruling empress that reigns by herself. But that's not going to last very long, because, again, these nobles are wrangling and they don't really, some of them are not really cool with having a single ruling female. They don't like this idea. So what's going to end up happening is that Suiko is going to be forced to accept a regent. And this particular regent is named Prince Shotoku, who is actually her nephew. Now, Prince Shotoku looks like this. So this is Prince Shotoku here, and you go, well, that guy looks like a Buddhist. It's because he was. Oh, hey, officially got a full-time history teaching job for next year. Nice! 9th grade world history, awesome! Going to have to focus on the modern world history in the textbook, but I believe it or not, but I believe not like this. Okay, oh, not like this, not like this. But I've been told I can supplement with whatever I want, so hopefully they're ready for the Epic of Gilgamesh. Figment, that is amazing. Congratulations. If you need anything, please do let me know. If you will ping me on some social media and remind me, I will send you everything that I had from when I taught world history for 9th graders. I have tests and worksheets and study guides. I will send you literally everything that I have if that will help you out. Just ping me somewhere on social media and make sure that I remember that, because as soon as I get off stream, my brain is going to go blank. So there we go. All right. Anyway, so this is Prince Shotoku. He is going to be one of the more influential figures in all of Japanese history, and I don't say that lightly. He really, really is super duper important. This guy is going to take over as regent, and before you know it, he's going to be making trips to China himself. Specifically, he's going to go visit the Chinese Imperial Palace, and when he comes back from China, oh man, he brings China with him. And Prince Shotoku is going to oversee some of the most influential reformations in Japanese history. But we'll have to wait till next century to talk about that. So, I'm going to leave you on the cliffhanger as always. Right? Got to give you some reason to come back next time. So, that's where we are going to end for the night. That's where I'm going to stop talking for the night. Literally everything I have. For 9th grade stuff, yeah, sure. Make sure you don't forget to teach them about the Teapot Dome scandal. Yeah, because, everybody needs to know about the Department of the Interior leasing out land and junk like that, super scandalous-wise, and then the president trying to run away from it and ended up dying of a heart attack because he didn't want to be in Washington, D.C. Teachers sharing ways to torture children in school. That was great. Oh, thank you, Aurora. I'm glad that you had a good time. And we're not necessarily done. Usually we chat here for a little while. I'll ask for questions if anybody has any questions about any of the stuff that we talked about, or if anybody wants to do any of that fancy schmancy point redemption stuff that we've got. You are welcome to redeem points for that stuff. So we don't have to run away. We're just kind of at a point where we're done for the night. You're going to bed in a bit. You do love history. Awesome sauce. Can we just keep talking about Dune for the next hour? We could talk about Dune for a little bit if you want to. Elendil in the sky. Yeah. Torturing students is your 4th favorite activity. Do you archive these anywhere? Yes, absolutely. Aurora, if you go to my Twitch page and you go down to, you scroll down under the big window, there's a little thing that'll say videos, and I have the vast majority of my VODs saved. So the episodes 1 through 94, I might be missing 3 or 4 of those because I forgot to make them into VODs. But I also have viewer request episodes. So every other Tuesday we do a viewer request where I'll cover literally just whatever people want. So that's another thing that I'll do, and you can find all of the viewer requests for those as well. There's no what's in the news redemption. There should be. There should be. Viewer rewards, channel points. Let me see what's going on here. It should be there. Has someone recently... No, that was a What's in the News redemption. Oh, did I miss it? Oh, okay. I got you. A Lindal in the sky. Is that what you're asking about? Because I don't actually know what that is, if I'm just being honest, Tuna. Dune, 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 dune. It's a Hubble telescope discovery. I don't know. Like, I haven't read the news in the last couple of days. Let's see what's up with Hubble Fifth Telescope. All right, news. All right, let's just do this way, because honestly, I don't know what we're talking about. Record broken. Hubble spots farthest star ever seen. Hubble Space Telescope has established an extraordinarily new benchmark, detecting the light of a star that has existed within the first billion years after the universe's birth in the Big Bang, the farthest individual star ever seen to date. This find is a huge leap further back in time than the previous star holder, which is 2018. Star that existed in the universe is 4. Oh wow! So we pushed it back 3 billion years. That's crazy. Newly detected star is so far away that its light has taken 12.9 billion years to reach Earth. Holy moly! This is crazy stuff. Ariandel. Oh, there we go. It means morning star in Old English. Discovery holds promise of opening an uncharted area of early star formation. "50 times the mass of our sun." So that's a big friggin' star. Natural magnification, but huge galaxy cluster sitting between us and Arendelle. The mass of the gravity cluster warps the fabric of space, creating a powerful natural... Holy crap, that's even amazing. I love astrophysics and stuff like that, man. So basically the only reason we can even see this particular star here is because of this gigantic... what am I trying to say here? This really big galaxy that's actually warping space-time to sort of shoot the light of the star to us. That is crazy. That is so friggin' crazy. We see it because of a ripple in space-time. Thanks, Newton, and thanks, Einstein, and thanks, all of you people. That is really cool. Oh, and they're going to shoot the Webb telescope at it. So that's the new one. The James Webb Space Telescope is the new one that they just sent up a couple of weeks ago. Well, I guess it's been a couple of months ago now, but it just went operational a couple of weeks ago. That is really, really cool. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I really had not... I have not had a chance to pay attention to very much of the news lately, so that was very, very pleasant. I love stuff like that. You're not a good speller? Cool. Yeah, a gravimetric lens, right? So it's like warping space-time because of the mass of this galaxy, and it's actually like we would not be able to see the star. So like we're here, and the star is here, but the reason that we can see it is because there's this giant galaxy in the middle, and the light from the star is actually warping around that to get to us because of the absolute mass of this big gravimetric pull of the galaxy itself. That's really neat. Very nearly a Tolkien reference. Yep. Tolkien got a lot of his stuff from Old English words, though. That's so Doctor Who, right? All right. Anybody else got any points that you want to redeem or any questions or anything like that? Otherwise, I think we are going to go hit ourselves a raid. Anybody got anything else before we sneak on out? Gravimetric geometry. I did okay in regular geometry. I don't want to add a fourth and third dimension to that stuff because my brain was doing bad enough trying to draw stuff with the little compass and protractor thing. Dune. Did somebody redeem question book and I just missed it? Yeah, because okay. Standard question book. All right. So for those of you that do not know, this is the standard question book and home study outlines. Once again, this was a study guide for a home history course. So if you wanted to get history credit in college, you would write to the college. You would receive the history course. This was your study book. This book was published in 1917, so it's an antique book. And I don't have the rest of the material. All I have is the question book. So what we do is just pick a random page, like, I don't know, this page. And then I just kind of take my finger and I go down the page to, like, I don't know, this question. And then I'm going to read this question. And if I know the answer to it, I'm going to tell you the answer. And if I don't know the answer, we're going to look it up. All right. This is so perfect. I'm going to see if I can actually get this to. Okay, so this is the question between my fingers that we chose, and this could not be more perfect. Make a careful distinction between the meanings of booty, spoil, and prey. Use these words correctly in a sentence. So, in this particular situation here, what we're talking about are different ways that you can get stuff that's not yours. All right. So specifically here, there's got to be a Beastie Boys reference in that. All right. So booty is when you have found something that is someone else's and you have taken it from them, right? So if I attack your city and I'm able to find your treasury and I go in and I take your treasury, that is the booty. Now, spoils come from something where I'm actually taking it off of your body. So I have killed you and I am taking something off of you. So I kill you and you have a really cool gold bracelet or a really good sword or a really nice breastplate. I take it off of you and therefore I have despoiled you. So like pirate booty, right? The general likes a big booty. He's very spoiled. We should pray for him. A lot of junk in the back. I would enjoy an Oops All Question Book stream. Oh, that would be an interesting one, Foggage. That would be really interesting. Maybe we could just pick like a certain spot and just go through the whole thing. I don't know. Maybe it would just be like all random. I don't know. That would... If we just did one concept just over and over again, I feel like that would be... I don't know, I just feel like it might just be too much. It would be too much like a regular stream because it was just like all about the same topic. So these are actually arranged topically. So when you were going through the outlines, you would be going through like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, etc. And they would... cover stuff in the chapter. So there's sections in here about like the Germany chapter and the England chapter and the blah 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 chapter blah blah blah. And in the specifics here, it would just be really hard to kind of do all of that, and it looked like something. Yeah. Okay. So Yeah, just completely random. That'd be interesting. All right, so booty, spoils, and prey. So what is prey? Prey is technically anything taken by violence. So if I do anything that is violent and I take anything from you, that is technically prey. So prey here is like kind of like the overarching thing, and spoil is like something off of your like person, and booty is just like something that I have plundered. So there we go. Random pleas are just small sets. Predator and prey, yeah. So here the predator is taking food from the prey by killing it and eating it, right? Right, so prey is like targeted. Like, I'm going to go get you, and I'm going to hurt you, and I'm going to go get your stuff. So like a home invasion would be prey. If I stumbled upon a cave full of loot, that would be booty. And if I fought you in a duel and stole your really cool hat, that would be spoils. So there we go. We have answered the question book. And it's really funny that booty came up earlier in stream, and that was the question. Sometimes the question book, man, it gives us what we want, right? All right, anybody else got anything? I do think it's about time for us to go do a raid. I taught classes today, and I've got classes tomorrow, and I'm very, very tired. And while I've had a good time and perked up a bit, I'm starting to flag like a pirate flag. But I think we are going to go do a raid, and we're going to raid somebody new. Last week, when I was on spring break, one of the things that I did was I tried to find people that I had never visited before, and I did a whole bunch of sort of like going around and goofing off and hanging out in different people's chats. And hey, Adventure Ren, good to see you. And I found a few new people that I think are kind of cool, and some people that are talking about stuff that I kind of dug, and found some history streamers and some people that have history backgrounds. And we're going to go do a raid. And we're going to raid a streamer called Smite Knight. And occasionally does some gaming stuff, but typically talks about stuff that's going on in the news, which is kind of stuff that I think that we would like.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Kyle Wright, 24 months, 2 years, man. Have I really been streaming 2 years? Holy crap. That's craziness. That's craziness. And Kyle, thank you for all of your help and all of your support, and from being here from the get-go. That's crazy. 2 years just seems like it's not right. Anyway, we're going to go raid Smite Knight. Smite Knight is currently talking about some news stuff and foreign and domestic news stuff, and we're going to go see Smite Knight. So pack up, and if you have those lovely adventure hats, throw those in the chat when we get there. Also, our battle cry, as always, is adventure. And yeah, I'll see you all next week. I might do a special stream on Tuesday. I do owe everybody a History of Middle Earth. If I could put History of Middle Earth together by Tuesday, I'd like to have it then. But definitely come by next Thursday when we'll be talking about 6th century China. So otherwise, until then, have a great one. Have a good weekend if I don't see you over the weekend. Do something nice for somebody and don't tell them about it. That's your homework. And I'll see everybody next time. Take it easy.